Welcome everyone, I'm Winter, and I'm here with a bittersweet update to StarCraft 2 on October 15th of 2020. I'm just going to get into it. It's about the future of StarCraft and StarCraft 2 moving forward. Let's read through it first and then talk about it. To the StarCraft community, StarCraft is one of a kind. We're committed to making sure that those of you who love this universe like we do have a home here for many years to come. With that in mind, we want to let you know about a development change we're making for StarCraft 2 as we continue supporting it for the long term. As many of you know, Blizzard continues updating its games long after the initial release. Some of you will remember that we were actively patching the original StarCraft more than 10 years after it first hit store shelves. This year, we celebrated 10 years of StarCraft 2 with one of our largest ever patches, with massive updates to the editor, prestige talents for co-op commanders, and gameplay improvements delivered to players worldwide. That's true. And then we're going to continue supporting StarCraft 2 in the same manner as we have with our previous long-standing games, such as Brood War, focusing primarily on what our core and competitive communities care about the most. What this means is that we're not going to be producing additional for-purchase content, such as Commanders and War Chests, but we will continue doing season roles and necessary balance fixes moving forward. On that last note, we're not planning a Q4 balance update, given that we did one a few months ago, but as always, we plan to continue doing them as needed in the future. Starcraft 2 Esports, which is part of the highest echelon of professional competitive gaming, will also continue going strong, as it has been through our partners ESL and GSL. We know some of our players have been looking forward to some of the things we're moving away from, but the good news is this change will free us up to think about what's next, not just with regard to StarCraft 2, but for the StarCraft universe as a whole. StarCraft is core to Blizzard, a lot of people devote themselves, you are one of the most passionate, creative, and dedicated, and we're eternally grateful. By Rob Bridenbecker, who I googled, and is apparently the executive in charge of classic games at Blizzard. Classic games including like Warcraft 3 and Brood War, which tells a story in and of itself. So first off, it hurts. The immediate reaction is, oh wow. I mean, for some people more than others, depending on how well you follow StarCraft or how closely, you probably either thought this had already happened or if it was coming. I'll tell you, in speaking to many people at Blizzard and formerly at Blizzard, and my general reaction is, like, this was coming at some point. Like, you know, it was going to end up in some way like this. It almost, like, it's good to have it out there so everyone knows where they stand. Honestly, my first impressions of this announcement are that the announcement is going to be more dramatic than the result of it. Because StarCraft 2 right now, WCS, which was run in most part by Blizzard, no longer exists. It's been taken over by ESL and GSL. Mostly ESL Gaming, the Electronic Sports League. I have a video on that. If you want more details, you can check out the ESL site. But that is a contract guaranteed through 2022. If you want more details, I recommend Artosis' video on this same topic. He breaks it down pretty quick and concisely, as Artosis is known to do. Anything regarding tournaments and stuff like that, I think he has a short and sweet, maybe not sweet in the literal sense, but like he has a concise video about that you should check out. But as for me, as someone who makes my career, I've been a StarCraft fan since the beginning, StarCraft 2 specifically. I didn't actually play Brood War until after StarCraft 2 came out. I didn't know about it. Ironically, a little, at this point, I was addicted to World of Warcraft, so maybe should have stuck with that. But we knew this was coming, and it doesn't really change anything. At least not for me, at least not for pro players. What it changes is people's perception of StarCraft and their willingness, I guess, like, a lot of people who weren't following StarCraft, this may rekindle the, like, dead game, like, the fact that this was written, or at least signed by the person in charge of classic games, tells a story in of itself. This is not the end of StarCraft 2. And now, of course, there's a darker end at the end of 2022, which is, I know, it's only 2 years from now, but think about how long ago 2020 started. Which, it's not good. There's no way to paint this as great or positive, but this is not nearly the blow, at least to people who work and live off of StarCraft 2, that it might seem. War chests are probably the biggest part when it comes directly to competitive StarCraft, as war chests were used to fund some of those tournaments. And just provide some sort of general excitement about playing multiplayer, which is now free-to-play, by the way, which free-to-play, by definition, doesn't make that much money. And the skins and war chests were a way to do it. And co-op was, and I believe continues to be, the most popular game mode in StarCraft 2. I know it's hard to believe for many of the multiplayer players, of which there are more than even when Legacy of the Void came out. Free-to-play plus the Defilers casting Plague on the world have bumped those numbers up as they have for many games. But co-op was pretty much StarCraft 2's way of making money, and that's what is really the big takeaway from this for me, is it wasn't making enough. It's not so much about like whether it's making money in the sense like, we make a co-op commander, did we make more money than we spent in development? It's what could that development have been spent on other things. And this announcement teases StarCraft 3 or something like it. I want to be very clear that I don't have any insider information, but it is my wholehearted belief that StarCraft 3 is not around the corner, nor do I necessarily think that Blizzard today making a StarCraft 3 is something we should be hopeful or excited for. There are other, I won't get into details or speculation or people calling me in the middle of the day. Who uses their phone? Don't you know I'm a millennial? Why do I even have a ringtone? But that's telling me to wake up and realize that this doesn't really change professional StarCraft as it stands right now. I feel like I went in a little bit of a circle. I don't script these videos, as you know, I do it live. And it's tough. Having this out there, I think, is good, but it's also kind of like ripping a Band-Aid off. We kind of felt, in StarCraft, like the odd man out. Because StarCraft 2 has, and this is true, some of the most committed, the older demographic, the more committed demographic of people who have been fans for longer than your average Overwatch fan's life. But it just doesn't have the mass appeal or monetization of other games. And Blizzard has not been, is not the company that it once was, that maybe it was before Activision. Activision wants to make money. Blizzard wants to make money. Everybody wants to make money. And StarCraft 2 just never has, and it appears they're convinced never will, make the return on investment that they're willing to make. So, with that said, there's another game that we can obviously draw examples of, that despite the developer of said game, there are very direct examples here. The developer of said game not really supporting in any meaningful way still survived for not 10, not 20, but 22 years, and that, of course, is StarCraft 1 and Brood War, which to this day, especially and mostly, to be honest, in Korea, still has a dedicated fan base and a competitive environment and is a top-tier esport. StarCraft 2 could be that, and it may be that, and it still is that, at least until 2022, and I don't know what it's going to look like past that, but I guess I don't have a coherent point at the end of this. The summary from me, as someone who's made their life, essentially, StarCraft 2, you're watching this on, the channel's called WinterStarcraft. So, recently I've been playing more of other games, just because I'm old and I get paid more for my voice than for my hands, and we'll just forego any jokes there for now. Maybe we'll get back to that. But if you like StarCraft 2, I don't see how this changes anything. If you're a co-op fan, obviously this sucks. And I think co-op was great. I think they've done some great stuff with it. I think it's fun. it's not for me, but it reaches a whole audience, and that's a really big blow, especially to that sizable community. The war chess, that is something I will miss, but I don't think it's going to be a huge deal overall. Like, it's not a game changer. Maybe puns intended. And then just the general, I guess, damage done, and the general feeling is going to be, well, what are we going to do in a couple years? Or what are we going to be doing? There are no other RTS games. There's no competition. You like it or not. And I'm somewhat of an expert on these things, if you know me and what games I play. But when a game is good, I like it. There's a dedicated fan base of people liking it. There's a reason that they're still playing it. There's a reason they're still playing Brood War. There is no competition in the real-time strategy genre at the moment, for better or worse. Starcraft 2 is still the best RTS game in the world. The most modern, the most competitive, and the most compelling. And this does nothing to change that. There will still be balance patches. I kind of like the trend of having a balance patch at the end of each year as like a kind of just, okay, end of the year, what new stuff are we doing? But I don't think it's necessary. We'll have to see going forward how that changes. There's still going to be new seasons, new maps, and many of the tournaments that are running today are outside of Blizzard entirely. In 2020, Blizzard took a step back and essentially handed it over to a company that's dedicated to esports as opposed to a game development company. So, if you like StarCraft 2, this changes nothing. For me, it changes nothing except the amount of times I'm going to have this conversation, I feel. Back in 2014, 2015, especially in the heart of the Swarm years, we had to be like, well, are people just not playing StarCraft 2 anymore because it's not the most popular game in the entire world? It's never going to be the most popular game in the entire world because it's too goddamn hard. But we play StarCraft 2 not because it is easy, but because it is hard, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So, while this is not unexpected, but unfortunate, and while we can speculate on what may be and what could have been, where we are right now is still pretty good. It's still the best RTS game, and there's still no reason that you can't start playing and disappoint me with your Angry Coach replays today. Thank you for watching. I hope this provided at least some clarity or gave you something to think about. I hope to see you out there. Remember, it's free to play. Good luck, and have fun. Cut. Just edit this out. We're going to do a lot of editing now. We got to do that.